Good morning, traders. Welcome to our daily webinar. The first part of this recording is out. It's only the majors, and it's the complete analysis starting from the monthly to the 1 hour. We will continue to do that. So there'll be a second and a third video out today. The second one will be all the Forex pairs remaining, all the crosses. The third one will be crypto and stocks. So there are going to be 3 videos out today. If you're one of my YouTube followers, if you like what I do, please help us share it so that more traders get access to this. I think last year we have probably helped quite a lot of traders who saw this recording and got the help they needed. A lot of successful traders who even joined us pretty late but made money. And I know that for sure because I saw a copy of their accounts where they sent me. In our group, we're striving to make the entire group successful. I think we did well last week. I'll put out the poll. Last year, we'll put out the poll for that in our group and find out how last year went. For YouTube traders, I would like to know your view. If you were watching me for the whole of last year, please leave a comment. Tell us whether that helped you. If it didn't help you, what more you would like to get so that you can get the help you need. It's a weekly one. I know that's limited, very limited for you. If you want to have more of it, you can join us as an installment trader. You don't have to pay immediately for the course. You pay however you can, and when you finish, you join us in the group. You will get access to everything. But we will give you the recording of everything, as well as we'll give you 2 live sessions. You'll join us live in the London Open, and you'll join us live in the New York Open, and that will definitely help you. So with that, let's go. Let's move on to what we're doing. We did all the majors this morning. We're looking for the trade setups we have. So I'm going to start with the yen pairs. So what I'll do is I'll start from the monthly, give you a very quick monthly, weekly, give you a very quick update of the bigger structure and what we expect to happen with it, right? Now, that is just for an analytical purpose. We do that every year at the start of the year. And then we will go way down to the 1 hour and tell you what the trade is. So weekly, monthly, let's start with the monthly here. Monthly, we're at the top, right? So if you look at the just general look at the structure, right? You can see that this was the top we have on this chart. It could have been higher. We don't know. We have this top on this chart. It came down and it's going back up, and we're almost at the top there. That by itself doesn't mean anything, right? Just being at the top doesn't mean anything. It means what part of a bigger pattern you're looking at. If you look at this piece, what you would see is that we had a flat here, right? We kind of had a flat in this piece. We made 1, 2, 3, but then we broke the top again. Now, when it was here, my thought process was that probably it will come down from there. And I did post a chart about that last year, that there's a good chance that we could come back and retest this low. But as this one kept going up, nothing is wrong with that. That's just me thinking we're going to get a flat and go down. Rather, we're getting a bigger flat. It's still a flat, but it's changed from a regular flat or a flat to the down, or this being a flat to the downside, to breaking that up, making it a possible running flat. So if we get a running flat, and if I'm correct about it, which means if this is the running flat, the chances are we're going to come here and then go back up. Right? That's about it. We're going to do that. We repeat this one here. See this one in the middle? This one also, if I was here before this happened, if I was looking at this forecast before I see this happen, I would tell you that with this sharp move coming down here, there's a chance you have 1, 2, 3, and this would come down, because that's a simple pattern and we will always make that forecast. As this keeps progressing, we will keep buying, and we will figure out by the time it gets to the top that it's making a running flat, which means this is going to come down here, then go back up. This is the same thing. We kept buying this one with a lot of caution. We also did some sells every time there was a pullback, and that was good trading until it came to the top, and then we figure out, okay, great, this will probably be a flat or running flat, come and go back. What that means that this could also still make a new high and then come back here. Now, the interesting thing about wave analysis is that you can see all these moves happen. But as it changes in a lower time frame, you will see that change for the immediate trade. It's either upside or downside on the immediate 1 hour trade. On the bigger structure, it doesn't change anything much. It changed from a running flat, from a regular flat to running flat. So now we will relook at it on the daily, and it's coming down. Like I said, we would come down. But the question is it going to come down from this point? Or is it going to make one more impulse up and then come down? The way this is looking, it looks like it's going to make one more up and then they're going to come down. Pretty much, because that looks like a really huge flat. Now, in some cases, you do have a big flat at the top of this structure here. And it's not a 1, 2, 3, but it's a 1, 2 with the 3 keep progressing much more to the downside. So on the 4 hour, that is where we'll make that decision. As you can see, 4 hour, this was a sell, and there was a sell set up here. I wasn't in the charts at that period of time, but I hope my traders got something from this one. If not this one, it's some other yen pair because we were selling yen. Now, if this is the low and we are going up, then we'll probably get a buy setup here today. And I wouldn't be surprised if we actually retest that up. Right? That would not surprise me if we retest it up. Let me take this off. So what I would wait for is if we get a flat here, a small flat here, and that becomes a trade to break the top. If we do get a flat there, the probability of breaking that up is really, really, really high, right? Because then we would know that this is a 1, a 2, a 3, and we're going up. So in the 1 hour, what you'd look for is it making a flat? So far, so good. So far, I think, yes, we're doing that because you notice this was looking like a small running flat going up. This had a flat here, this one had a sharp move, and they're doing this. Now, this could work its way up a little. I would not buy into this. Because with this here, the possibility is it could still come back here, make this flat, and then you get the upside. So if we get the flat, the upside becomes a really good trade. If you don't get the flat, then all it could do is break this top and still come back down. I would not also be selling this one as yet, not until I think there's a risk to reward in that piece. Well, maybe in the 15 minutes, my traders will take that, especially if it comes like this and start to drop. This could be a short-term trade going into this one and then up. So we'll probably take the short-term sell. That's a short-term 15-minute sell with a possible 1 hour upside. Right? Now, if you're YouTube watching this and you're not part of the group or you don't have access to our live sessions, you may not want to take that sell because that pattern could change really quick. And we have methods of how we will manage the trade to get out of it if that happens, or else you will be stuck with the trade. Right? And you might not even know how and when to get out of it. Unless you can do that on your own. And literally, if you can do that on your own, you're probably a good wave analysis trader, and you might not even need me to help you with that. So let's see what this is going to. Short-term sell for my traders, long-term buy. Well, medium-term buy. So we'll look at that. So if it comes all the way to the top, we'll not sell it. We'll think running flat, right? So we'll think it's making a running flat, and then it's not a sell. So I'll just leave it open. I wouldn't put any setup in it until we get in the trading room where we will trade, right? The same would probably be for the CAD yen. All the yen pairs have the same possibility. And the weekly, they're pretty much a big correction. I think you can literally see that. On the weekly, this is what definition of a flat. This is a sharp move down. You go up, you come down, you go up, you come down, you go up, you come down. This is the definition of what a flat is. It's flat. Simple. So the idea is that this should come and break the low. Now the question is this going to come to break the low? If that's the case, you want to see a 1 week correction here and then the drop. Right? You want to see a 1 week correction and then the drop. If that's not the case, then we can go make a new high and then come down. So we'll go to the daily and see what that says. Daily looks more downside. Although we had that deep pullback to the top, this one is really dropping. So there's no sign that this is trying to retest the top, but that doesn't mean that this cannot make a correction upwards like this and then drop. And this is what we would look for in the daily before we confirm the bigger downside. So while this is correcting slowly upside, Swiss yen could break the top and then drop. Right? Swiss yen has one single move to break the top. This could make a few moves up and down and then come down, right? So they'll both be going up, but one is an impulse and the other one is a correction. Now, is this going up as yet? We'll come to the 4 hour and you see, yeah, we did break this low. See, we broke the low. This is a sharp move. Now, this is not exactly a very corrective one, as well as it's not exactly sharp, right? Because you had this flat. I think this was a good sell. I hope my traders got that trade. That's a giveaway, right? If you close that trade here, you did excellent. I would probably be still looking for another sell. Sorry, guys. Oh, sorry about that. Yep. This is relatively sharp, but it could also be considered a correction. This one is really sharp, so I think this is the low. Let's see what happens here. If it makes a flat here, we're going for a buy. We'll buy it with caution, but we'll buy it. I would prefer buy the Swiss yen if that happens. Right? So if this goes up, we're going to think more bigger correction, daily correction. For the sell setup, not in this one, not in that one, we don't have a sell as yet. If it is going to be a sell, it's going to correct a little more. This by itself doesn't look like a sell setup. New Zealand, yeah. Now this definitely looks upside. I think this one is pretty easy. That could be WXYX. We have patterns like that previously, especially in the New Zealandian. I think we can find. You look here, if you look across here, you would see similar patterns. That is this one here. That is this piece, right? See, it went up and then it made another flat and then continued to go up. So there's a good chance that this is going to break out. It could make another flat or it'll just break the top. Now, if you look at a bigger picture in the monthly, we haven't broken this top. Whereas in the other pairs, this top is broken after the sharp move down. They all have this sharp move down. But then some of them, this top is broken. In this case, we haven't broken that top. So there's a very, very good chance that this does go and break that top, right? From that point, we will either come back and retest the low, or we'll just come back here and continue to go. But that top is easily seen can be broken. So in the 4 hour, I think this sharp move down, if you look at the two previous sharp moves down, makes sense. This one was sharp. We thought this is just a running flat here and this would go up, but then you remember that struggle to go up there and then it becomes corrective and then they drop. So that just confirms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 WXYXZ pattern, if you want to label it. And this pullback had a big flat here before they go, but I don't think we're going to do that here because this should be an impulse to the upside. So what we're looking for is a flag or a flat in this area here for the buy. And this is actually a very good buy if you get it, because this pattern is very, very good. There's a 95% we're going to go out of this thing, as long as it stays here. The only way we're going to change that is if this works its way down to the bottom here. And it will only be changed for a 1, 2, 3 drop, break that low and still go up. As of now, if it stays here, that's an excellent buy. So we can go into the 1 hour and see if we have anything. Well, it's not ready for the buy, because it might tag you make a running flat if you want to take it. This is a bit too small for that. I think we'll probably see some more consolidation here, come back here, do this, and then that would be a perfect buy setup. Now, if you want to put the entry here with a stop here, not a bad idea. Even if it tags you. If it tags you slowly, you can get rid of it. If it tags you and then pull back, you assume that it's making a running flat. Now, we'll probably see more consolidation in here, and that is what I would like to see. I would like to see this consolidate a lot more in here and then do this and then come back here. So this would be a perfect pattern. The bigger this is, the better this is for us to confirm that we're going up after that. So we might not get the trade today. Selling this is a bad idea because it's not really a correction. It's pretty slow move up. And I don't think they're coming deep into this. So the sell is not a good idea. I think one of them we have a sell on. That might be a good idea, not this one. So these are all probably going to be buy setups so far. But I'm not putting them as yet because these patterns are incomplete, which means by the New York session, we'll probably see how it looks, and then maybe we'll go for the buy setups. Aussie yen. Bigger structure is pretty much this. Now, remember Aussie yen, this piece didn't give us the pattern we were looking for. It was a little incomplete. It didn't make sense even at that point in time. And on the big picture, Aussie yen, well, could probably come and break that top, or I would say should break that top. We should come and break this top at least. Because if you look at the way this is, either this is the low of the whole structure, and we have 1, 2, 3, which means we'll have to break that up, then come down. And this would be a flat of its own. Or either this entire thing is making some weird big structure here. Right? We can look at it that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. I don't like it. I think this is part of its own one. Right? This is the lowest point. So I think this is making its own 3-wave correction. This would probably be 1, 2, 3 of its own. Or we could get into a really, really complex pattern here. But in any case, if you isolate just this part, which we have to isolate as a separate flat within the bigger structure, we should break that up. So some up move is probably there. Is it now? It could probably go now, and if it does go now, we will take this as an expanding flat. I will go with the expanding flat. Can it go one more down and then go? Yeah, expanding flats can be weird. They can be very huge. So this piece down has been really, really, really slow. And this piece up wasn't really slow. It wasn't really super aggressive. So what I would wait for is what happens here, right? If this continues to go, we'll take that. But if this kind of consolidates and drop one more, I think we could still even do this, come back here and then go. Because I think there's a possible running flat forming there somewhere. So this one doesn't, it's not confirming anything. It's not giving us any clear direction. And I wouldn't go with a contracting flat for this, not as yet. I don't think this is some kind of a contracting flat to look at here. So we will just have to wait until this one completes the pattern, or at least move in one direction so we can decide what that is doing. Right now, this is all you have. And this is not giving you any clue for directions. If we take this as a clue, we're more likely looking for downside after we break this down. Now, this is relatively sharp, even compared to this. So that means that we will not be going now. I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes something like this, go back up there, come back here, go there, and then make the low. So I would avoid trading this for now. Let's wait and see. Euro yen. This could go back and retest the top. And the big picture is downside. I think this is pretty clear. I told you they all have this sharp move down, but then they have 1, 2, 3, and we broke that top. We're almost breaking this top, which means if we break that top, we will come back with this structure, right? If we break this top, we'll go there, break the top, come back here, and then go back up. This would be the big running flat in the middle. Now, this is a very common one. We've seen this like a million times, probably. If you're here with us long enough, you would have seen that pattern really, really often. Here's what we'll wait for. We'll have to see whether this is retesting the top before they come, or if this is actually dropping to come here now. And when you go in the daily, although it looks like a big mess, I think we completed this one. This piece here, it looks very corrective. It does not look like the impulse you're looking for if you're looking for a down move, because there's a huge flat at the top here. See this? There's a huge flat here. We got that correct. 1, 2, 3. This made a sharp one, and this is going up really sharp. So if we get a flag here, we'll make the assumption we're coming to retest that top and then downside. If it makes a flat, it will be a sell. So in the 4-hour, this one wasn't that corrective, but it also wasn't impulsive. This is more impulsive to the downside. So we'll assume this is the low. This was a correction. And now we're making a flag for upside. Here, it's making a flag from. So short-term downside sell, you can probably take the trade. It's risky. But you can take this one in the 15 to retest that low and then get it to break even. If you're lucky, it goes deeper. Right? If you're lucky, this could go deeper. So you do have a short-term trade here. I wouldn't take it from here. I'll probably take it from here. And by the time you break that low, get it to break even. Because this could just go here and then go back up. It could go deeper and then go back up. Now, can it drop and break the low? Breaking the low, I think, unlikely, but coming pretty deep is possible. I don't think it looks similar. It's not similar to that. This one is much sharper. But you can take the sell. It's a 15-minute sell, aggressive trade. We can put a 15-minute sell here. I'll put this as an aggressive sell. And once it breaks this low here, you got to get it to break even. What's the range? That's about 30 pips. Once it gets that 30 pips, you're going to put about a 30, 40 pip stop. So the worst case is you get break even in the trade. The good case is you get a 1-to-1 very good trade. And then we're looking for the bigger trade to the upside. Because the bigger trade would be to the upside. And Pong Yen. Looks like a short-term sell as well. Let's see what the bigger picture is. I don't think this one has to go back up anywhere. Literally, this doesn't have to go anywhere because we broke this top already. This is the sharp move down. Whether that is a flat of its own, we'll figure it out later. That's possible. It could be that we are all in a much bigger flat forming here. We'll know that after this come down and go back up. Can this go back up one more? It can, but in the daily structure, well, we're not really expecting that to happen. Let me take out all of these. Those were buy and sell setup, stops and buy. I think those were the tops only. This was a sell, that's for sure. I can see where it's located, that was a sell. So we don't have to break this top, right? We really don't have to. We have divergence. And remember, we started selling this because we know that once we broke out of this, it doesn't have to go back up. It's not exactly a sharp impulse to the downside. You see that there's a big correction there. But it can either consolidate here and drop, or we can retest that top and then come off. So if we do retest the top, not a big deal. We'll probably just come here break this stop, and then come back down. Now, what's the most immediate trade in it on the 4-hour? Looks like a buy, right? Even if it's a buy for a flat, it still looks like a buy, right? On the very short term, if you want to sell, which I think may be too much of a risk because you'll have to put a stop here and all it needs to do is break that low. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't come like this. I mean, all it needs to do is break this low and it can go right back up. Take this, for example. See this one here? All that needed was to break this low. It didn't even break the low and then it took off. This became a flat. So you're looking at the same possibility of this here. So what I would say is probably ignore this one and wait, because this doesn't have a good risk to reward place for you. And some of the two that you are actually selling does have risk to reward. I'll just leave this alone, see what it does, because this can't be only correction either. Not much. So I think this could probably just work its way up some more here and then come back here and then that. If you get it from the top here, then that would be a good risk to reward, right? This would be your stop. This would be the minimum you're going for. So then it becomes an interesting trade. At the moment, it's not, so we just have to leave it. Selling it here, too much of a risk. See one that has the less risk for a sell. Euro, New Zealand. Let's go to the big picture, monthly. And we're expecting this to go up, right? Because we're looking at this as a 1, 2, 3, and then upside because this is the impulse. If that is going up, it's going up really, really slow. So far, that is really slow for the upside. And the weekly, you can see you got one pullback, you got another. Most likely when you see all those pullback, you're thinking flat pattern. And what that means if this is a flat, we should at least retest this low before we go back up. Now, in rare cases, that is not a flat pattern, but just a leading diagonal to the upside, something like that. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They make a flat here and then they continue to go, right? In rare cases. So which one it is, we'll have to just wait and see in the daily. You kind of came down, we saw that, and then it break out. And if you get a consolidation here, it's a pie. Can it come back down from here? Let's see in the 4-hour. This is not exactly corrective. This piece here going up, it's slow, but it's not exactly corrective. That was a sharp move. You got a sharp pullback. You got a second sharp pullback. I wasn't there, but I think you guys figure out that that would be the running flat. And then you get a 1, 2, 3 up. You make a top. You're kind of consolidating there. Well, this consolidation would either be a bigger correction for upside, or we come retest this low and then go back up. This sell is not a good, it's not a great trade. I don't see a sell setup that looks amazing, right? See, right now you're getting a flat here. You could make an argument whether we want to go with this as a flat, which means it's going to retest this low and go back up, or drop and break the bigger low. Now, if you're new to wave analysis, what I just said confused you because you don't know which lows I'm talking about, right? So if this is a running flat, all it needs to do is come here and then it can go right back up. That would be a buy setup here, or anywhere from here to here that we get a flag. What if they're actually retesting this low and then go back up? That is also possible, right? Maybe even drop and retest. Not just this low here, but retest this low here and then go back up, right? All of those possibilities exist. So what I would do here is I'd say if we get a sell setup, let's take it. If we get a sell setup here with a flag, we take it. The buy here is a bad idea. You would have to wait for this to become a buy. You'll have to have a very, very big flag here. Most likely a 1 hour or more flag for the upside, right? For the downside, it's okay. You get a small flag here, that's a sell to retest this low. This by itself is a trade, and a very good one. And then we will see whether it goes much lower or not. So right now, we can just wait on this, see if we get a flag or a flat. If it forms here a bigger one, that would be a flat. If it makes a simple flag, 2-3 hours from now, would be a trade setup. EuroCAD monthly. I think we can all agree that that looks upside. At least the looks of it is upside from that point. This is a pretty sharp one. But if you look back on the charts, there are a lot of sharp waves, counter trade waves. See this one, how sharp it comes, it go back up, come back down, go back up, come back down. There's a lot of sharp waves, but then eventually you did make that up, right? So this would be something like a running flat. And even the sharp waves we read within the structure eventually will tell you what it's doing. Now, if we look at this structure like this, the assumption is that this could either be the low, and this is a 1, 2, 3. This piece goes up from here. We'll figure out this pattern to see whether this by itself makes something. We'll look at that way, or we will see what happens here, because this by itself can be, right? This could be a 1, 2, 3 pullback here. You can make an argument for that and we go up. Right, see they did get that here. I'm not sure how we'd put this, but I think I'll put this here. This would be some kind of a contracting flat or smaller flat in there, right? So we could repeat the same thing here and then go back up. What are the chances for downside? Well, then we'll have to have a running flat, right? See, like that sharp move, come back, go back up. So this would come down slowly here. Go back up there. If we see this, then we know we're retesting all these lows. All right, we're going to break them. We're going to come lower to this level and then probably go back up. So for that trade, it would be a long time. Let's go in the daily, see what we have. Daily looks like a buy setup forming there. I think that's pretty easy. So we'll make assumptions more upside. Let's go to the 4 hour. 4 hour looks a little more downside, which means this entire thing, this, you see that big flat is making a bigger flat here. And if it's making a bigger flat like this, then I don't think, or even bigger than that, I don't think this is the one that will totally go up. Right, what that means is that this could come down some more. You could probably see this doing this, drop some more, kind of do this, and then this one would be upside. Now, could it change to the downside? Well, then you have to have a small flag here, not go back to the top. So what you're going to do if you're looking at this, right? This would correct deeply. I think it will correct on a 1 hour on our daily correction. We'd be looking for a daily correction. This would be one single impulse. I think we can all agree on that. That would be one single impulse. And then we'll be looking for a daily correction to confirm upside. So any upside confirmation would be, even if this breaks the top, it's coming back for a deeper one to confirm the upside, which means this would have to be a daily correction and then the upside. That confirms the upside. So right now, what we're looking for is how deep this comes. That's about it. I don't think we'll retest the low. I think it's just going to come deep. Looks like we might get a running flat here. I could see this possibly giving us a running flat here. And if we get a running flat there, you'll drop one more. This correction is clear. This one was pretty slow. So drop one more, we can make another slow one, drop again. If this starts to go up fast, we take flags and we buy. Can we buy it here? I think it'd have to be a lot of caution in buying it there, right? Because this sharp move here still didn't happen. So be careful. It can drop one more. 1, 2, 3, and then drop again before it goes back up. We'll keep an eye on this. I don't think it's a good buy setup as yet. I'll be very cautious with it. Because within this structure, this might not be enough of the consolidation in the daily, and this one is really slow. So I'm not sure why this is not enough for consolidation in something like that. So we'll be stuck here for a while, which means we'll be going sideways for a much longer time. And Euro pound. Euro pound is definitely going to drop. We wanted to break that up first. On the bigger picture, this is what we have. I think this is pretty easy. Right, when you get such a sharp move down, you get a correction up and you still come down. So you get such a sharp move down, get a correction up, you still come down. At least to break this low. And so we look at this as a bigger correction for upside or total downside. Can it go totally to the downside? Yes, it can in the monthly. So it is what we have. So if you have this move down here and you have this move up here, there's a good chance you can get a move down back to the bottom here. So that downside is possible. Come back here. I think we have a sell setup. I figure out this is a flat, and we'll see if we're right about that. But this sell setup is perfect. So that one is showing you it going to break that up before you get in the sell. Now, you can put the sell entry here, but that's a bad idea because the risk to reward is not going to be good. If you allow this to break the top, come here, make a flag, we'll sell this flag. Sell this flag with a stop here and go for that trade. The risk to reward would be much more amazing. You can put a sell here if you want. Nothing is wrong with that. You'll have to put a stop somewhere above the top, but you'll have to wait a long time to get good risk to reward. It will still drop. So I'll put this as a possible sell after we get a flag. Euros. The Euros and the Euro New Zealand have a similar structure, very similar. Now, if you go in the monthly, it will be very confusing because this is all we have. So you would have to go find the bigger charts on, I don't know, IDC or somewhere else. I will look at it on the internet and see where we get a bigger chart to figure out what a bigger pattern is. But as far as this is concerned, I think this looks like it came from the bottom here, right? From lower than this point. Well, let's see in the IDC chart if that is so. Nope, we don't have enough to tell us here too. This one was showing you this pattern that we should break it. We did break it, but we didn't come back to the low. So my thought process was that this here would make 1, 2, 3, and then go back up. Now the question is where this came from. It came from the bottom or it came from the top, and that would make a difference because if it came from the top, this is the low. This would just continue to go up. If it came from the bottom, the chances are we can go break that low and then go back up. So we'd have to look for that chart somewhere in the internet. We'll check it. We do have somewhere to check. We'll check it and then we'll see. So can this go down or is it going to go back up? I think it's most likely downside because this piece looks very corrective in relationship to this. It doesn't look like we're starting an impulse to the upside. Now we just have to figure out what it's doing in here and then go for the trade. So the daily came down very nice, flat, came down flat, came down flat, drop again, flat, drop again. And this is the low, right? Now, can we look at this whole piece here and assume that we're making a running flat and this is going to drop? You could make that assumption. The only problem is this one is too sharp inside. So if that is too sharp and it comes down, then we're likely going to do this, go back up, and then drop, making this a flat. That's the most likely because this is really sharp. So I don't think that is all. Now let's go to the 4-hour and see what it's doing at the top there. In the 4-hour, yep, it's coming down nicely. You can make an argument that this was a consolidation. There's a flat here. There's a series of consolidation in this thing all over the place. I wouldn't be even surprised if this retests that top first. If this retests the top and then come down. But it's very likely downside and the bigger picture, right? Because this piece, I don't think that's a start of the impulse. So, but we'll see. Here's what we're going to do. In this piece here, let's put this line. There was a running flat there already in the middle here, and then it dropped. So a lot depends on what happens here. If we get a consolidation like this, and then go back up, that becomes a sell. If it starts to make a flag there, we will consider the buy to this top and then for the breakout. But you have to get a really good flag and you'd have to be very aggressive. All right, so let's wait and see. We don't have anything here. Euro Swiss. Yeah, this should come down one more. We had 1, 2, 3. This was a mess. We saw that. It didn't go much higher. It actually stopped here. So we can put it here, but then you're consolidating here now. So that definitely will come one down. And since we didn't break this top, we'd have to come and break this low, right? Have to come and break the low. And it looks like we're consolidating here for that drop. Might be dropping already, but I would, because this one broke the top. So you can make an argument that this was already consolidated, but this is going back up. Here's what we can do. We can put an entry there for the sell. If this drops through the bottom, that's a good trade. Very good trade. If it doesn't drop through the bottom, but actually go back up to the top here, then we would look at this and try to get a trade from here to the bottom here. Because this now could be a flat for one more up. If that flat stays there for one more up, then we would look at this whole structure as some big corrective structure and still look for the upside, right? This whole piece here would go as some big corrective structure. Which means we would take this out, take that out, we'll put this, if that happens, we'll put this from here to retest the top here. And then from here, come back down before they go. It will come back down, just a matter of from where. So we put this sell right now, and then we wait to see what this does. It still will be a sell on the most immediate trade. So this here is a sell setup. This one is relatively sharp. So I don't think it will drop. I think we'll come retest this top first, but that's not a good buy. So we'll leave this sell and then we'll see what happens. So I'll put this as an aggressive sell. It's not a trade, it's not ready as yet. And there's no buy setup in this to retest to come back to the top there. Now that I can see. Uncat. Okay, this looks pretty easy. Look for the sell setup. Where would this take us? Let's see where would this sell take us. So on the big picture, we could literally go back down. If we look at this as some kind of a flat by itself there, running flat. If we look at that as a big running flat, then you can go one more down. This could come back here, retest this low, and then go. If we don't look at it as a running flat, which would be difficult to do, giving all the correction in the middle there, then this would just drop, I don't know, maybe one more, drop like this, go back up, come back here, and then take off. Repeating this one. So the question now is, do we have divergence here? Oh, we do have a lot of divergence here. That could be an ABC structure, which means this would literally come back down. This is a good sell setup, by the way. So go into 1 hour. Let's see if we have the sell setup here. Put this here and put it there. And yep, look for a sell setup. We can put an entry order here because it's pretty low. Put an entry order on that low because it's pretty low. Put a stop above the top and wait to see. But if you get this flag here, that'll be a better one. What I mean is I want this to come back here, make this flat. Put an entry here, same stop, but put an entry there because this is more guaranteed for downside. So I actually like this sell setup here. We're going to put an aggressive sell on as of this point. Pound Swiss. Big picture. Yeah, upside possible. Daily. Pound Swiss, that is here. Pound Swiss, right? We had the pound cat for the sell, yeah. Pound Swiss. Okay. This is the daily, this is the 4 hour. I think this one is pretty simple. Will it come down one more? I'm not sure. Let's go into 1 hour, see. It's kind of a possibility that it might come one more here. It might come one more here and then go back up because this is a deep pullback already. See this little drop here? It's deep into this one. So yeah, I can see them coming here and then going back. But we're not selling it. We'll wait for the buy setup. In this case, the best thing to do is wait for that buy setup. The buy setup is not ready. This is not the buy setup as yet. But as soon as that buy setup comes, this would be an interesting trade. Pound New Zealand. Okay, this one is very interesting. Looks like we're still in that sideways move. Looks like we're in a big sideways move here. We're not going anywhere. But then after that, what happens? After that, looks like we might be heading for the bigger flat pattern. Right? If this comes back here, you still have to go back up for a bigger flat pattern here. Okay, this is the bigger consolidation. So let's go back to the daily. It looks like we're making one of these big flats here as well. It doesn't look like it's actually dropping, but they're making a big flat here in this piece. Let me take this out. Could be something that is a big running flat here, I don't know. Let's see this piece. See what we have. I'll leave this like this. We don't have this sharp move up. We have a lot of downside. I still don't see that sharp move up. So we just leave this within that structure and then wait. Can we get a sell setup? Might be a sell. Wouldn't be the best sell setup though. This might be a sell here. In a move like this, I would probably not take that sell. If you ignore the impulse, which we don't have, you're looking at this. That's not a good sell setup, even if it comes lower. So we leave that alone. We'll come back to it. Aus, big picture where. Looks downside. Let's see in the weekly. It will have to go up first though. I think this here might be a 1, 2, 3. We make a flat here and we start going up like this. Come back to this top and then drop. Right? Pretty much going up with this slow move here. So let's see in the 4 hour, what's the trade? Did we break that up? I think this could be it. If you look at it this way, this could be it. So a little more down and then up, I'll ignore the sell. Even if there's a sell setup, let's ignore the sell setup. And there is one here. I think it's coming down a little. And let's look for the buy setup. Let it finish that sell and then we go for the buy. Could it be you're making a flat here for the buy like this? No, not necessary. So let's wait. We don't have a sell setup and we don't have a buy setup as yet. Aussie CAD. Okay, this went back to the top, so we'll take this off. That is not the running flat. We broke the top already, but it's corrective. So what it means is that this might most likely give us a flat and one more up. Do I think this is the top for downside? No. Definitely not. That might not be a running flat. Let's go back to the 4 hour. We did break this top, and that means any thought process is running flat for one more up. Look for a sell setup. Let this make a flag here. And you're looking to retest this low. Not necessarily test it, maybe about here, and then you start to look for the buy setup. So let's see if we get the sell setup here. That's in the 1 hour. Nope, not as yet. That's just one sharp move down. You'll have to wait for a big correction in it, which means you have to wait for something like this, but most likely something like this. Come here and then go back up. So we'll get this sell and then we're going for the buy. I think we can make an argument. That's pretty clear. This would be too flat. You have a flat here and you have a running flat here. All right, so two flats. This has a smaller version of one here. I have a smaller one here, so you get one here and then we'll drop. I think that makes sense. So we'll look for a sell setup, wait for the flag, and then the buy. Aussie Swiss. Go to the weekly, monthly. Okay, seems like a big correction for upside. That's pretty easy, not a tough one. How far can that correction come? If you look at the previous one, right, this was a perfect correction. I think we can all agree at that point that was a perfect correction for upside until this happened too, right? And that makes it into flat for downside. So can we see a repeat of that? This coming pretty deep before it goes back up, and that is where you go to the daily and you look for that. Well, I don't know how deep, but it definitely looks like it can go one more down because I think this piece here, let me take that off. This piece is starting to look like a running flat. This big correction in there, starting to make it look more like a running flat for downside. So do we have a sell setup? Not as yet. Do we have a sell setup here? Well, not as yet again. And I don't think we're going to retest the top. I'm waiting for a flag. We can make an argument for this one. Or we can make an argument for a possible one here. I think this one is better. So what is the confirmation for the trade? Give us a flag. We don't have a flag, so, and I'm not buying this. Right? There's no buy setup to go with, not in a pattern like this, right? This one was pretty slow, as you can see. So I think we just wait for this to give us a sell setup and then go with it. So let's put waiting for a flag. This is another Aussie pair waiting for a flag. Cat Swiss. Cat Swiss correcting, this will drop. Right, this will definitely drop. So you can see in the 4 hour, it's making a big correction. So this will drop, will break the low. Will definitely break this low. So you can take this out. That would not be the trade we're looking for. We don't have this sharp one, and I don't know, we'll figure out what to do with it. We don't have that sharp one as yet. We could get it much later, which would be pretty late also. And because we have this correction, we have this correction, we have this correction, we are getting another correction here for downside. So that curve did break out and it's making a bigger flat. It is going to be the flat that will drop now. It can be, because you can make an argument for 1. You can make an argument for 2. You can make an argument for 3. Why do we have this one and that one? Also possible. I think we might consolidate more. It's going to drop, but we will. It's not going to drop to the bottom now. We'll stay in this sideways consolidation for a longer time. Because you can see from this that this sharp move didn't end that structure, and then this pull back and go back, they just changed everything. So this could come back here, but we're probably going to be going up and down. If you get a sell setup here, it might be worth taking. For it to be a buy, we'd have to probably consolidate here a while, come back here, give us a flat like that, and then the buy setup will come. But it's very short term. The upside is short term. If it comes back down and then go up, that's a better trade. So keep your eyes on this for the sell. We don't have a sell setup as yet. I think this one might be telling. All right. This one might just be telling. You can go with 1. This is a 1, 2, 3. 1 more up. This should drop to the bottom. We don't have anything for this one. We're looking for running flat there and we didn't get it. So take that off. This is the lowest point, right? This one here. Could it possibly be this was the running flat? No, we have a lot of consolidation here. So I'll make an assumption that it's not the running flat and we're doing it. We'll just wait on that to tell us whether it's standing alone as a lower degree or what the hell it is. What's the bigger picture here? Okay, the bigger picture is this could go a little more up on the bigger picture, or it could come down from this point. So let's go to the daily and see. I don't think we'll go a little more, but I think that might be all. Coming down from there might make more sense, because this definitely starts to look downside. Even if this goes up, back, it's probably just coming back to about that level. And we could be stuck here for a while. So I think we look for the sell. That by itself is a complete sell setup. Put an entry order here for the sell. I think we had one of that in New Zealand this morning. You can go for us. You can actually put an aggressive sell there. Sorry. Aggressive sell on there right now. And hope this goes back to the top. If it drops to the bottom, that's your trade. We don't have a buy setup on it as yet. Aussie, New Zealand. That's a deep pullback. Let's see where we're going. Oh, that's pretty deep. So you'd have to wait for this to drop to get your sell set up. And it's just correcting this big move now, which is normal. And I don't think that's all the correction. It looks good like this, but I don't think that is all the correction. We don't have a sell setup. We don't have a buy setup. If this corrects downward, we get a buy. If it drops and make a flag, we get a sell. New Zealand Swiss. Okay, this one is a giveaway. This one is perfect. This is just perfect. So take that off. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, this should be easy to trade. It's like this piece. So you get a drop. Look for the drop. Look for the sell setup. What's the weekly looks like? This very much is telling us that they'll retest the low. That this would probably retest this low and then go back up. We will definitely go with that as a running flat if that happens. That is a small correction here. Kind of do this, correct, do this, make a correction, do this, and then go back up. So let's see, because this is very, very corrective. I mean, this is just an easy one to trade during the 1 hour. And let it finish what it's doing. It's not finished. I think we're going to go back up. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It has to go back up like this. Retest that top and then we'll get a sell. Just in case you think it's going to drop, put an entry over here. If you think it's going to drop now, but I think we'll retest the top and then look for a better sell setup. So this would be an aggressive sell as well. Thank you guys, and especially my YouTube viewers. I would like you to share this because the only way you get other traders to see the way wave analysis work and how forecast is done is by sharing this video with them. Thank you very much. The remaining charts are coming later today or tomorrow. By the end of this week, I'll have all these out, and then we'll be back to normal from next week. If you would like to have more of it in more details, send me a Skype message. The Skype is in the description. Thank you very much. Trade with care and have a good week ahead of you. Bye.